combined voices, if you put together all of the people who are being disenfranchised by the court's rulings, our power together, our combined voices, our shared aspirations, coming from our shared pain, can make us a viable force for equal rights. We could, in fact, be the antidote for today's Supreme Court.
Hi, my name's Grace. I'm a junior here at the University of Oregon. I'm a history major and a pre-law student, and I found Anita Hill's talk really to be inspiring.
Hi, my name is Kea, and I'm a PhD candidate at the School of Journalism and Communication, and I'm also a GE in Women, Gender and Sexuality Studies department. I think it was really amazing to hear Dr. Hill, and it was really inspiring to see the journey that she has undertaken since the 1990s and way before that, and actually she came with Me Too before the digital Me Too happened.
She talked about the work of women and feminists in the 60s and 70s and how their work and their use of the Civil Rights Act and the 14th Amendment led to equal access in the law. But Professor Hill also talked about how equal access, it isn't enough when there's still discrimination that persists, and that the law needs to take account of that discrimination and counteract it.
And it is especially a responsibility for those of us who are in privileged states, privileged positions, to be able to move us forward.
And it just goes to show how much work we still have to do on campus and in the United States.
Hi, my name is Mahnur Ahmed. I'm an international student from Pakistan studying at the Department of Global Studies. I'm also a GE in that department. Today, Anita Hill's talk was something profoundly enlightening for me because knowing and learning about the feminist movements and the civil rights movements in the US has shaped a lot of my perspective about how civil rights movements and feminist movements can look like in the global south from where I'm from.
Hi, I'm Kristen Yaris, and I'm an associate professor in the Department of Women's, Gender, and Sexuality Studies here at the University of Oregon. I'm also faculty in the School of Global Studies and Languages. It was an honor to be here this evening and listen to Professor Anita Hill's lecture. Particularly resonant for me as faculty in the Department of WGSS here at the University of Oregon is considering the ways in which attacks on DEI in the United States and from the Supreme Court to particular state legislatures are attacks on precisely what I teach, what me and my colleagues teach in not just the WGSS department here, but other departments across campus.
Allowing states to put into place sweeping anti-DEI legislation.
One point that really resonated with my own experience and my own research interests includes how women are just not allowed accessibility in spaces institutionally. Just structurally, there are barriers that do not allow women in those spaces. And in fact, women are just relegated to spaces which are more around caregiving. So it could be home, it could be anything which involves taking care of others, tending to others. And any space where women are not allowed, such as colleges, courts, schools, they are punished, they are penalized for being there, and that punishment could come across or could assume forms such as harassment, could be there could be pushback, there could be opposition, there could be resistance to that. And I personally feel that a lot of times we really forget that we are there, we have earned our space, and we've really claimed our spaces there.
My name is Fabienne Moore. I'm an associate professor of French in the Department of Romance Languages in the School of Global Studies. That was a very persuasive and inspiring talk. Professor Hill walked us through some of the history and the reason why she's hopeful, actually. I think she made a wonderful point when she reminded us that actually courts have overturned decisions that were made. And though she gave us a long list of decisions, we all laughed at the ludicrous, arguments that were made at the time against women or against Black people. But systematically, those at the time were taken very seriously, but then eventually overturned.
Fortunately, over time, the Supreme Court's understanding of the definition of equality has changed, and given the flawed logic behind originalism in the Dobbs case and colorblindness in SFFA versus Harvard, I believe that the court's reasoning will change again.
Professor Hill mentioned at one point in her lecture that given these attacks and the assault on diversity, equity, and inclusion, it's not just assault on admissions, but assault broadly on what we're teaching and on the knowledge that we are creating. So I walk away from tonight's lecture thinking about the importance of holding what we teach with great care and responsibility.
I work on the late 18th and early 19th century, which is exactly when all the battles pro and against slavery happened. And so, yes, French Revolution abolished slavery, Napoleon reinstated slavery, and then it took another 50 years before France abolished slavery again. And so things do change, and I think, taking the long view was really what she was trying to get us to do, to take the long view so that we remain hopeful that things change, that there is an evolution in the way the courts are taking up some of those decisions.
Especially what I take away from this talk is when she said that there is a profound civic value to inclusion. And I think that's what we can gain from this, and that's what I can transport here to the Global South, where I identify myself as a feminist of the Global South. I think that my hope for feminist futures is that we're able to create a collaboration where we have inclusive feminism, where there is decolonial feminism, where women of the Global South can come together in their shared pain and develop their own narrative, develop their own frames, and develop their own intersectionality, something that is unique to them, something that cannot be applied from concepts and constructs of the Global North. And I think that's what women in the Global South can also learn from the Global North, especially feminism in the US and Black feminism, particularly about power imbalances and issues of intersectionality. So I hope my future, my aspiration for feminist future is that we can see that and we can apply and we can learn from each other.
Thinking about our students and the ways that they're turning what we teach in our classrooms about gender justice, social justice, and movements for rights expansion in our WGSS classes, our students are turning what we teach into social action, from protests on campus to building better worlds and more inclusive spaces on and off campus. So I'm thinking about my colleagues and the importance of the work that we do, and just wanting to hold that in really high regard moving forward.
So, as form of a feminist future that I envision, and Dr. Hill also touched about that, is when we start believing our own selves, when we start holding our own power and stop justifying the discomfort that we feel or the oppression or the resistance that we feel, I think it'll be great if we stop justifying that or stop rationalizing it. If we are uncomfortable, I hope we have the power to feel uncomfortable and interrogate the reason for that, and then move ahead in terms of more collective aspirations, which I think will be great for a feminist future.
I think it's really important to remember not to be so caught in the moment, but really to have the history to remind us that things will change.
So I do believe that change is possible. I've seen it.